So last week we did an introduction to who Ibn al-Qayyim was, and we breezed over it. There's actually a lot more information, but many brothers, if they're in their own time, inshallah, they can read it up, his life story in detail. Ultimately, you need to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings and tests inwardly and outwardly. So in your actions, in your thoughts, and it has many different components. There are 3 conditions of a servant's happiness, and we talked about these last week briefly. And they're the signs of his success in this world and the next. And every single servant is constantly hovering and moving between these 3 states. What are these 3 states? It is shukr. One is shukr. Yeah, the Arabic word shukr, which means thanks, gratitude. Yeah, shukr. And what is shukr? Shukr means shukr itself has 3 components to it. Right? So shukr has 3 subcomponents to it that you need to know. One of them, the first one, is an inward recognition of the blessing. So I've got a phone. Internally, within myself, I'm grateful for it. I recognize that Allah has given me this phone. He's blessed me with this phone. And now Allah has a right upon me that I use this phone for good reasons and not for bad reasons. So that's inwardly, I recognize it. I know what I need to do with that blessing. Okay? The second category under shukr, the second component of shukr, is to outwardly mention it. Demonstrate it. Demonstrate your thanks for it. So I've got this phone. In my mind, I'm like, I'm very grateful for it. So on my lips, I say, Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I make dua to Allah. I thank Him for it. Yeah? So I make an external thanks to Allah for it. Inward recognition and an external thanks. You could say, external form of gratitude. And the third component is using that blessing in a way that pleases Allah. Yeah? Ibn al-Qayyim says that as long as, only if these 3 components are combined, is the reward for that blessing secured for you. Yeah, otherwise, there's no reward in that. So, if someone internally doesn't really thank Allah, it doesn't matter if he says Alhamdulillah, doesn't matter if he uses it for good reasons, internally, there's no iman there. Yeah. Secondly, if somebody gives thanks to Allah and says Alhamdulillah, Allah thank you, but then you use it to play music or look at things that you shouldn't be looking at or whatever, right? So so he's not going to get rewarded for saying, so his Alhamdulillah and his inward recognition, we can't say he's not going to get rewarded for it, that's up to Allah, but ultimately we can't say that he's secured the full blessing of this, and he's going to be blameworthy. And on the day of judgment he'll be asked about this. And the Rasul said in the hadith that if you're questioned about something, that's a very bad sign. Then being questioned about something is destruction. For the believer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell the believer what he did. You did this thing. You did that thing. One after the other. Maybe for years you'll be standing in one place. Remember, Yawm al-Qiyamah is how long? How many years? 50,000 years, right? 50,000 years, right? Equivalent, that one day equivalent to 50,000 years, human years, earth years. So you're going to be standing there for hundreds of thousands, if not thousands of years in front of Allah. Remember, the Yawm al-Qiyamah itself, it's going to be a lot of it's just, imagine another life that we have, but instead of 50, 60, 70, 80 years, you're somewhere else, you're naked, you're dirty, there's dust and filth and bad weather everywhere. There's heat, violence, people are drunk, babies, they've gone grey. Think about it, 50,000 years, which baby wouldn't go grey? Which man, so that 50,000 years people are going to be crazy. It's not like, we say Day of Judgment, it's not going to be one day long. You live, put that into perspective, you live maybe 80 years on average, right? Let's just say 70, 80 years. 50,000 years. That's mind-boggling. It's beyond human comprehension. Human beings, have we been on this earth for 50,000 years? Allahu Alam. But, bottom line is, human history, recorded human history is what? 3,000 years? 4,000 years? Recorded human history. Right? It's 50,000 years. So, during that time, Allah will talk to you about one of the sins you did. That sins might have taken you 1 second to do, but Allah may talk to you about it for hours, describing what was going through your mind, what you did, what kind of blessings you then forsake because you did that sin, what kind of people you let down because you did that sin, you let yourself down, what kind of blessings you could have had if you didn't do that sin, what kind of rizq and good deeds could have come your way if you didn't do that sin. Just over one sin. Now multiply that by Allahu Alam how many, right? So Ibn Qayyim is telling us here that for the blessings, if you want to secure their reward, and on the Day of Judgment, you want to secure Allah's pleasure, then make sure these three components are there, right? Because again, on the Day of Judgment, the believer will be covered. Allah will take him to a side and cover him and tell him, you did this, you did that, and go through all the sins. And the believer is going to say, oh, well, I'm destroyed, I'm dead, I'm done. Allah, he's going to be so ashamed of himself. He's certain now he's going to hell. He's certain. There's no doubt in his mind. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say to him? Today, I hid your sins then, I am hiding them now, and I will convert those sins into good deeds for you. Enter Jannah. And this is for the believer. Whereas for a disbeliever, Allah will question him. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And questioning with a severe questioning. And his backbone will be solidified, so he won't be able to move. He'll be paralyzed in one place. So that's shukr. So as long as you do that, then you will secure that blessing, and you will be from amongst the shakirin, from amongst those who give thanks. Yeah, even if it's just for a moment, all those things combine. Okay, because Allah in His justice, as long as you combine all those things, even for a second, then that's it. You tick the box. Okay. The second, so for example, if someone, let me just move on. The second thing, so that we're going into, first was shukr, and now we're going to number 2. So having sabr. So shukr is number 1, this one's number 2, sabr. What's the meaning of sabr? Patience and perseverance, yeah? So sabr is patience. Try not to translate it just as patience, because patience sometimes can be mistranslated as just waiting around. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So doing the right thing at the right time, right? And not being afraid to do the right thing at the right time, and just moving forward. You see those posters everywhere. Yeah, what's it? Carry on posters. Yeah. Well, there's fa'idah in that. There's good in that, right? So whatever's going on in your life, you know what you need to do, and just do it. Reminds me of a hadith where the Sahaba asked Rasulullah about Qadr, and they said, Ya Rasulullah, Qadr has already been written for us. What's the point in us going out there and doing good deeds? And Rasulullah said, what? Do what you need to do. Just don't think about that too much. But his words were very simple. He said, do what needs to be done. That's it. As soon as they heard those words, everything just fell into place, right? And the amal continued, right? So sabr. So how do you now? Sabr itself has subcategories. Number 1 in sabr is restrain your anger internally from whatever's happened. Don't get angry. Yeah, the first step in sabr is you don't get frustrated and angry at the situation. You keep calm and you think rationally about what the steps to take. Okay? As a point here in psychology, the human brain, even though it's got loads of different parts, roughly you can divide it into the front part and the back part, right? And the front part, that is in Arabic, the nasiya, right? And Allah Ta'ala says in Juz Amma, which surah was it? Huh? So النَّاسِيَةٌ كَاذِبَةٌ خَاطِئَةٌ. So Allah will grab the sinning, lying forelock. And forelock means this part of the head. This specific part of the head, the front part. And that we call in science, we call that the prefrontal cortex. That's where all your, that's where your intelligence lies as a human being. Right? That's what differentiates you from an animal. Animals, they have the back part of that we have mainly. Right? So Allah says that, and this is the part that makes the decisions. And Allah says what? That Allah will grab the forelock of the human being, the lying, نَاصِيَةٌ كَاذِبَةٌ خَاطِئَةٌ, the wrongdoing forelock. So grab the human being by the head and throw them into the hellfire. And when you're angry, so blood can flow to different parts of your brain at any one time. Yeah, depending on how you're feeling. You can control that blood flow. So if the blood flows more to the back of the brain, where your part of the brain called the amygdala, if that's there, and that's more your animalistic responses are there. Like your fight or flight responses, right? Someone's hit your car, you get angry and you want to do something, right? That's your amygdala taking over, right? That's the backup part of your brain taking over, yeah? And the rational part of you would probably think, do you know what? Let me just see why you hit my car, right? Let me just see if there's a legitimate explanation and let me speak to him, right? The rational part of you, right? But the animal part of you will just go into ape mode, gorilla mode, and then just try and do something. So bottom line is your brain's got a back part and the front part. And when you're angry, the blood flows more to the back part of your brain. Yeah? And so when it flows more to the back part of your brain, you end up feeling more anger. And you're less likely to control your anger. Your brain, front part, back part. Okay, the front part is a reasonable one, and the back part is the animalistic one. When you're angry and you don't control your anger, more blood flows to the back part of the brain, and you react rationally, and you react angrily, and you react in a way that you regret later on. There is every single man, and this is, I think Umar bin Khattab said this, that whenever you make any man who makes a decision when he's angry will regret it later on. And in fact, this is Sunnah of Rasulullah, when he was angry, he never said a word. When he was angry, he was silent. His face went red, but he was silent. He didn't want to say anything. He knew the laws, the natural laws, right, in your brain, right? And he remained silent. And because when you calm yourself down, your blood then rediverts to the front part of your brain, and then you start thinking more rationally, and then you can think things through better. And sometimes you might just need to wait because there's so much blood flowing there to react. Because those centers there in your brain are there to protect you. They're there to look out for you, right? So someone's hurt you, you're gonna defend yourself, right? So it's your basic instincts, your basic responses, and that's where your nafs lies. That's where your hawa, your desires lie ultimately. And human beings want two things. All human beings, their nafs wants two things. One of them to preserve itself. And that means it includes reputation, that includes status, that includes wealth. These are all ways of preserving itself and protecting itself. And the second one is sexual desire, satisfying its sexual desire, right? So maintenance of the species, right? So every single animal brain has these two. Or we got similar brains, animals. So they're part of our desires as well. But the human being does what? Puts a lock on it and only uses it to inform his judgment rather than give him judgment. And that's a very important rule to make. So, so sabr, the first part is restraining anger. Yeah, at whatever's happened. So someone's hit your car, or someone's done a swerve in front of you, almost hit your car. Don't say anything. Don't do anything. And it's hard. It's hard. I know. And so the second part of sabr is so the first part is internally not getting angry, and the second part is not saying anything with your tongue. Yeah? Internally not getting angry, so staying calm, and at least trying to be calm, doing mujahad of yourself, doing jihad on your own nafs, and staying calm, right? Struggling with yourself to stay calm. And protecting your tongue so don't say anything. And the third thing, not using restraining your limbs. Yeah, so inward, tongue, limbs. Right? As long as you do all of that, and you control all those three components of your body, you will get the rewards for sabr. Yeah, sabr doesn't come if something's happened and then you like swear at the person, but you feel really good about yourself because you didn't punch him around the face. Yeah, right. That's not necessarily what we're talking about here. Okay, so sabr, when you read it and you really think about it, it's tough. It requires so much tarbiyah, so much training, and so it requires literally a long time of extended practice until you get it right. Yeah, Jadwal.
Does punching the wall have frustration count?
No, not at all. Because Ibn Qayyim said, restraining your limbs from offences. If you read the book on top page 2, it says to restrain his limbs from offences such as striking his own face in grief, which people did back then and still do today, ripping one's clothes, rending one's clothes, tearing one's hair, and similar acts. So these are all acts of destruction, isn't it? Yeah, was it? Tearing one's hair, so pulling at one's hair. Basically, no violence can be seen on your body. Yeah, whether you're alone or not, because at the end of the day, angels are there recording it. Yeah, they're there recording how you behaved, whether you were in private or not. So even though no one's around and someone swerved in front of me, almost hit my car, and I might, effing blind a little bit. Yeah. Not that I do it. I've never done it before. No.